Big Z Reviews. So I'm doing a little something different today because I'm going to talk about two documentaries that are released within a week of each other and are about the same event, but then they both kind of fail at what a documentary should be, or the responsibility the filmmakers would lend to actually reporting on the subject by staying impartial. And neither of the documentaries do that. But they both are very interesting, and they both have slightly different ways of telling the story. And I'd say which one's better and which one you maybe should watch, or watch both, or what. And that is the Netflix Fyre.
American rapper Ja Rule is in the Bahamas with his business partner,
Billy McFarlane.
Is an amazing entrepreneur.
He can convince anyone of pretty much anything.
They just bought an island.
Pablo Escobar's island. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna throw a festival, yeah.
And the Hulu Fyre Fraud.
Oh, Jesus.
Nightmare in Paradise.
There was no music.
They were put into disaster relief tents.
People started to have breakdowns. People started to have panic attacks. No idea what they were doing.
It was also a health concern that there were people literally trapped on an island.
It was a shit show.
Just chaos and anarchy.
So with these dueling documentaries, it was the Netflix Fyre one was much more publicized, that they had trailers beforehand and it was coming out, and then Hulu kind of snuck theirs in a week beforehand, and then they kind of threw shade on Netflix. And like I watched both of them. The Hulu one, it definitely feels rushed. It definitely feels like they didn't spend as much money on it and as much time on it. And then probably the most noticeable is when they have like they're reading like social media comments and they use a computer voice, like from Radiohead's OK Computer, like in reading stuff, and it's a little rougher around the edges. And the Netflix Fyre, I think, is a much more well put together documentary. But again, they both have odd complications to them, because the Netflix Fyre, they co-produced this film with Jerry Media, the Fuck Jerry Media. That is the advertising company that did all of the advertising and marketing for the Fyre Festival. And that's a little, again, how could they be impartial if they did all the advertising for it? But then the Fyre Fraud Hulu documentary, they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Billy McFarlane, the main guy that ran this festival, to interview him. And so that's not good either. You're not supposed to pay people to interview them for documentaries like that. And I think that, at least for the Netflix one, I feel like they got more bang for their buck by co-producing it with the Jerry Media, because you get pretty much all the people that are involved with Jerry Media are with it in the whole movie and talking about everything that happened. And for Fyre Fraud, they really didn't have any of them there. They only had people that were fired by them, that Jerry Media, and you have more people around that they kind of tackle more the social media angle and other stuff about it. And two, for the main guy is going to jail for years and that perpetrated this whole fraud. His interviews are pointless. He just lies throughout. He doesn't lie about, he doesn't say anything about. And they do this whole thing, they try to do a gotcha moment for him, and they edit it together, prove that I've lied about anything today. And then they say, what about this? And they show a bunch of clips of things he said and what actually happened. And it's I need a 5-minute break. And then this was gotcha! And I'm I don't know. It's a pretty light gotcha. But then on Netflix's side, I couldn't help but feeling that when the Jerry Media were talking about how great the advertising was and how great the marketing was, it's kind of hey, if anyone's out there wanting to do a real festival that's not fraud, well, you could hire us. We could do the same thing, but it'd be great because if there was something real, like we didn't have anything to do with the actual festival, we were just advertising it, so we didn't do anything wrong. But if someone wants to contact us, we'll do that for you too. So let us know. And it's like they both have problems, but I think the more entertaining documentary is definitely Fyre from Netflix. I also felt like the Netflix one, like they introduced it better. Like they didn't come, like if you don't know anything about the Fyre Festival, they kind of set it up. Like they don't tell you right away what happened, and they kind of go slowly about how it built and what they were doing and what was going on. But the Fyre Fraud is kind of right away, they go about how bad it was and they explain how it happened. And I think that it'd be maybe a little more confusing if you haven't ever heard about anything about it. But, I think the Fyre, like, they have a lot more footage, too. And I think Jerry Media had all the footage from stuff like when they went, for all the models went to the first island and, like, what they were doing and then what they filmed and what they did later advertising for. I felt like they had more of that footage. Then for the Hulu one, they more talked about, like, they used, like, the stuff that they posted on social media more. Like, they had said that it wasn't as entertaining to watch, but they still talked about the same thing. And with the Netflix one, there's some crazy stuff when you find out what some of the characters were prepared to do to try to get all the water they order through customs. Like, it's, like, horrifying. But, like, there's more interesting interviews in the Netflix documentary, definitely. And it's just kind of so ridiculous. The whole Fyre Festival thing is so ridiculous that to go to the Bahamas and have an island and try to build this thing, but like it's another country, so you have to try to import everything. You pay so much money for it, and the whole idea is so bad, and it creates a very interesting documentary to talk about. And I would recommend at least one of them. I think. If you have Netflix and don't have Hulu, definitely watch Netflix. If you have Hulu, don't have Netflix, definitely watch the Hulu one. But if you have both, I think I would recommend the Fyre more. Then if you want to see the other side, you can watch the Hulu one like I did. And kind of you compare yourself. But they're both interesting. And I like both of them. I'd probably give like the Netflix one like 8.25 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10, and the Hulu one like a 7.5 out of 10. Like, they're both interesting, but the Netflix one is definitely better. But, thanks for watching. You can check out the replay from my head and subscribe to me in that Z over there. Thanks. This has been a Big Z video. Thanks for watching.